Theory 4, Simulation Theory and Codebase Edits. If you followed the trail so far, through AI enforcement, CERN's collisions, and looking-glass timeline engineering, then this theory steps back to ask an even bigger question. What if all of it is running on a program? What if the Mandela effect isn't an accident, a conspiracy, or even a war between timelines, but simply the result of reality being updated? This is the core of the simulation theory. The idea that our world is not base reality, but a high-fidelity simulation governed by rules, parameters, and a modifiable codebase. In this framework, time, space, memory, and perception are all constructs of an underlying architecture, what some would call source code. If this theory is correct, then the Mandela effect isn't just real, it's predictable. Because in a programmable reality, what you call a glitch in memory is more likely a patch in the system. Something changed upstream, and you caught it before the local environment fully recompiled. This theory doesn't rely on government conspiracies, secret rituals, or quantum accidents. It only requires one assumption, that this isn't the original layer of existence. And if that's the case, then anomalies are not bugs. They are revisions. Let's walk through the logic, the implications, and how this framework could account for the Mandela effect more comprehensively than any other. What is simulation theory? Simulation theory proposes that what we experience as physical reality is, in fact, a digital simulation, a mathematically constructed environment running on an underlying information substrate. This theory gained mainstream traction in 2003 when philosopher Nick Bostrom proposed that if it's possible to simulate conscious beings within an artificial environment, and if any advanced civilization could create such a simulation, then it's likely we are already inside one. Elon Musk later echoed this by saying the odds that we're not in a simulation are 1 in billions. But this isn't just philosophy. In recent years, serious physicists and researchers, like James Gates, who found error-correcting code embedded in string theory equations, have entertained the idea that physical reality is quantized, pixelated, and coded, not continuous. If that's the case, then the world we live in behaves exactly like a computational system, which leads to a troubling but fascinating possibility. Maybe the Mandela effect is what it looks like when parts of the simulation are recompiled, retconned, or patched mid-run. What's a codebase edit? If you've ever worked with software, you understand how versioning works. Programs are built on source code. That code can be updated. Bug fixes, content changes, functionality improvements. Some changes are visible to the user. Others are back-end optimizations that happen silently. Sometimes when software is updated, old behaviors are deprecated. A function that used to behave one way now behaves differently. Sometimes text changes. Images update. Occasionally, the software retains ghost data, old references from before the update that still linger in memory or behavior. If reality is running on a similar architecture, then the Mandela effect would be a byproduct of codebase edits that were not fully synchronized across all nodes. In other words, the system was updated, but your consciousness, your local copy, retained memory of the pre-update version. That's not a glitch, it's a version conflict. Memory as a residual variable. This also explains why the Mandela effect doesn't affect everyone the same way. In simulation theory, each observer is a conscious node interfacing with a shared environment. If the central simulation updates, some nodes might receive the patch immediately. Others, due to their state, alignment, or isolation, may retain a cached version of prior data. Think of it like this. You update your phone's software. Some apps still have outdated interfaces. Some users didn't click install now. Some devices are jailbroken and ignore the standard system rules altogether. People who experience Mandela effects may be the metaphysical equivalent of those unsynced devices. Their consciousness didn't update. Or more radically, it resisted the update, which makes Mandela memory not a flaw in the brain, but a trace of temporal data integrity, a sign that you still hold a copy of an older version of the simulation's timeline file. How this explains specific Mandela effects. Let's look at how this model handles some of the best-known examples. Berenstain versus Berenstain Bears. In the previous codebase, the spelling was ein, aligning with how many people phonetically process the name. After the update, the source asset was changed to ein. All official files were retroactively compiled under the new spelling, but the memory variable for countless observers still references the original tag. Luke, I am your father. The dialogue script was rewritten in the simulation database, and all current media references now reflect, no, I am your father. However, because this quote became an iconic meme, reinforced millions of times across timelines, it still exists in user memory, like a cached data fragment the update forgot to purge. Fruit of the loom cornucopia. In version 2.x of the simulation, the cornucopia was part of the brand asset package. Post-patch, the cornucopia was removed globally. But some legacy users still possess the visual imprint from the prior build. This may sound abstract, but it matches how software updates behave. Some changes overwrite cleanly, some don't, and users with older hardware or permissions sometimes keep elements others lost. And what is the human brain, if not a biological interface with quantum memory persistence? Why would the simulation update reality? If the Mandela effect is the result of system-level edits, we're left with a provocative question. Why would reality need an update? Here are the 3 major theories. Stability optimization. Perhaps reality was experiencing too much variability, too many overlapping cultural trajectories, too many unresolved paradoxes, and the system consolidated. In this version, Mandela's peaceful death in 2013 is a cleaner narrative for the stability of global memory. External narrative alignment. Maybe a higher layer of control, what some call admin consciousness, is rewriting portions of the simulation to prepare humanity for a particular outcome. This could relate to mass awakening, AI convergence, or a reset event. The Mandela effect in this view is a side effect of systemic narrative optimization. Rollback from timeline collapse. This theory suggests that an event, CERN, looking glass, quantum detonation, caused the simulation to destabilize, and the Mandela effect is part of a rollback protocol, restoring consistency by merging conflicting timelines into a compromised middle version. Some people remember the original, others don't. All of these theories point to one idea. The Mandela effect is a maintenance operation. The developer's hypothesis. If the simulation is real, then someone, or something, built it. Whether that's an advanced post-human civilization, cosmic intelligence, or a recursive self-evolving code is open to debate. Some believe the developers are benevolent, creating a growth environment for consciousness. Others see them as indifferent architects running nested realities. A third view holds that glitches, like the Mandela effect, are intentional leaks, meant to provoke questions, test perception, or activate latent awareness in certain individuals. Whatever the case, it reframes the discussion entirely. The question is no longer, did Mandela die in prison? It becomes, which version of the event did your node cache, and why? Resistance to the update. In this model, people who remember the original version of an event are not broken. They are partially unsynced from the current simulation index. This may be accidental. Or it may be the result of personal consciousness density, emotional anchor points, or even spiritual configuration. Some people may have higher sensitivity to energetic disruption. Some may have carried over memory from previous iterations by design. Others may simply be more awake, more intuitively resistant to manipulative coherence. Simulation theory allows us to understand these people not as outliers, but as diagnostic indicators. They're evidence that the simulation cannot overwrite all memory in real time. Some fragments survive. Some observers resist assimilation. And that's exactly why this phenomenon is important. If this reality is simulated, then the Mandela effect isn't weird at all. It's expected. Just like any digital system, updates will sometimes produce anomalies. Cached data will conflict with the current UI. Legacy variables will appear where they shouldn't, and users will remember behaviors that have since been deprecated. But here's the key. The people who remember differently aren't lagging behind. They're ahead. They are the ones who notice the updates, while others seamlessly integrate them. The Mandela effect is not proof of failure. It's proof that memory is not fully subject to control, and that some part of you still remembers the raw code before the patch. In the next rabbit hole chapter, we go further underground. The occult theory of ritual timeline engineering. If AI is the mechanism and the simulation is the structure, then who's using ritual, symbolism, and belief to influence what code gets run? What if reality is malleable, because it was designed to respond to energy, not logic? Hi, I'm Adeline Atlas, 11x published author, and what you just watched was only a taste of what's inside the Truth series, where we go all the way down the rabbit hole. If you're the kind of person who's always asking bigger questions, who knows there's more to this world than what we've been told, then this is your invitation to the series that was built for you. Inside the Truth series, you'll get full access to 6 mind-blowing sub-series designed to wake up your highest intelligence and decode the matrix we live in. 1. Locate the truth. Learn how to actually research, not just what to search, but how to verify, cross-reference, read declassified files, and protect your own mind from weaponized misinformation. This is truth-seeking decoded. 2. The Mandela effect. Are we shifting timelines? Why do so many people remember a different past? We break down the most bizarre, undeniable examples of reality glitches and what they tell us about consciousness and control. 3. Law is magic. Law is not what you think it is. From word spells to maritime law and hidden contracts, we uncover how legal systems use language like a wand, and how to stop being tricked by fine print that binds you without consent. 4. Entertainment or ritual. The Hollywood and music industries are not just for entertainment. From Super Bowl rituals to Grammy stage symbolism, we decode what's really being shown, who it serves, and why mass consciousness is the target. 5. Decoding dystopia. Ever wondered why dystopian fiction feels prophetic? In this subseries, we decode popular films and books, Hunger Games, 1984, Black Mirror, to reveal the hidden blueprints and predictive programming behind the plot. 6. MK Ultra plus mind control programs. This one gets deep. From real MK Ultra documents to modern symbolism in media, we expose how mind control operates in plain sight and how to free yourself from manipulation you didn't even know was happening. And that's just the beginning. If this resonated with you, click the links below and join us inside the Full Truth series, because the more you know, the harder you are to control. This is your awakening. We don't just ask questions, we find answers. Let's go all the way down the rabbit hole together.